Got this 25-foot Dusky in. We're going to be building a full T-top for. Going to be done in mill finish tube. Then it'll be sent off to sandblast and then powder coat. Film the whole process where we just take a straight tube and make a T-top. Stay tuned. All you guys seen me do there was simple layout, just a real generic drawing of the top. The halfway mark between each bend, what the bend take up is, how much we need after each bend to hit center. Then we just simply lay it out on here with some Sharpie. Find center, divide it by 2, divide the bend by 2. You always put the X's where my bend's going to be, and then subtract for your clamp offset. And that's what you'll be left with. And both sides, it's mirrored. And you just double it. And that's where your 143.5 comes up for your first half. And your second half will just pretty much be 2 U's. That's it. So we got 2 hoops the same OD, so our length will be the same. One is underbent at 85 degrees, one's bent exactly at 90 degrees. The 90-degree one will be for the stern of the T-top. They'll have a roll going this way for the rock holders to go across the back. This one, to make up for the underbend, will have a roll in it going this way to tighten those up to give the front of the T-top a nice radius. I'll show you how to do that next. Alright, just like that, we got our radius in the front of the T-top. Everything lines up real nice. Then we got our radius going up in the back of the T-top. The rest of our bows will have that same swooping radius to the top to tread water each way. Only reason I don't do that on the front, I do the radius going opposite, is it gives it a lot better shape. It doesn't look like just a cube thrown up on top of this thing. It's nice and consistent. Anytime I have a butt joint like this on a tube on a T-top, I'll machine bungs that fit in there, roughly 1.5 inches on each side of that seam. I'll weld it to one side of the tube first, slide the other tube over, and then weld it almost like a bevel. And I don't make them too thick. That way if you want to chase wires through this, you don't got to worry about your chase getting stuck up on this. It's pretty smooth. It's all deburred. And anytime I have a joint like that, I'll machine and bung for it and make it nice and solid. Got those bungs all welded in, all the way around, both sides. And then we'll mate that other half to this half. And that'll leave us about a quarter inch of a gap. Get a nice fill weld all the way around there. That'll be really solid. Don't have to worry about this thing bowing or snapping like you see a lot of these T-tops. They snap at any type of butt weld because there's no sleeve in them. This one won't ever do it, and if it will, well, I guess I'll have to fix it. This is the most important part about building any top. It's making sure the start of it, the main top frame, is square and flat all the way across. And your radiuses line up. And then that these tubes, when you seam them, stay very straight. A lot of top builders I've seen, they'll put a seam here and a seam here. I did that when I first started. It makes it a little bit easier to do each radius individually, but it's 2 more seams you got for either fail points, or there's 2 more welds you got to do. And then small top like this thing's only 6 foot by, or 5.5 foot by almost 8 foot. The bench works good with some angle iron. Some larger tops I do that are 20-30 foot, I use those big I-beams down underneath there, and I'll put them on top of the bench, and then I'll just do it in the center of the floor because those boats are too big, they're not even here. But this is how we start. Tack these seams up. We'll go measure the console on the boat, find out what roughly center is going to be. I'm going to put in 2 straight supports with our oval tube for our upright legs. Get all that tacked in there, get our bows put in, get everything tacked together, leave it clamped to the table, and then go ahead and weld this section up, and then start making the legs and get it up on the boat. Alright, these oval tubes will go in the top part of the T-top where the upright legs connect to. They're a little bit too big for my pipe notcher, so we gotta put them in the old Bridgeport mill here and get a notch. Got all our bows rolled out real nice and even across the whole thing. Got them all tacked in. Our center supports are just sitting in there right now. Got this 1/4 inch plate that's going to go right there because they're going to put a pretty heavy duty radar in the center of this thing. So we're making it to where it lasts. And then we cut out all our tabs for our anchor light, and then a couple tabs for our spreader lights. They want one on the front, two on the back, between the rod holders that are going across there. Let me get this table cleaned up a little bit, get all this stuff centered. It's just sitting there right now. Go ahead and start burning it in. Then we'll start getting the rest of the tabs on and the rod holders. And then the next thing after that, before this thing goes on the boat, so we'll be adding a tube from there to the front, and that'll be the wire chase to get all their spreader lights, anchor lights wired up. And then the rest of the wiring will go up the main legs into the electronics box. So it's going to be mounted in the top of this thing. Went ahead and got all our perimeter welds welded up all the way around on the top side. Now we will go ahead and clamp something down the center, keep this from getting all over the place on us when we weld up that center strut. Then we will go ahead and get the rod holders on all the tabs and flip it weld the bottom side. Got our center strut all welded up on one side. We'll have to let it cool and we'll get the other side. I'll let it cool completely before I'll pop it off of that. In the meantime, we can go ahead and get all our rod holders lined up, tacked on, make sure they're all square and straight, and we'll weld them up. Got our light tab for our anchor lights on. And then between a couple of these rod holders, not really sure yet, probably between that one and the one here, we'll do our brackets for our spreader lights. And I got a bracket on the front for the spreader light, and then flip this thing over. Something I do in all my tops I build, because I don't always install them. I'll do the final install, but I don't rig them, and it saves someone a hell of a lot of troubles. I just take a piece of stainless weld wire, put a washer on it, and I'll run it through the tube, whatever route we're going. In this case, we're going around, and they wanted to come up into the front of the electronics box instead of having a tube going from here back. They kind of look a little ugly when we do that. So stainless weld wire, got it through holes all nice and smooth, and then get that last tube weld in there, pull this through, and save someone a hell of a lot of time when they go to rig this thing. the whole top frame completely welded up. All the rod holders on, trolling rod holders on, a nice grab handle on. I like doing this on top, so it looks good and it adds a lot of strength to it. Radar plates in. These are our main supports that our legs will be going to. And now you can see why I had this thing so clamped down everywhere. I mean, it is perfectly straight and flat. There's no bow to this thing. Looks good. Now we're gonna get it up on the boat. Alright, we got the top up there with the forklift. We're gonna get roughly the height we want it, just to get a feel and an idea. Get some rough measurements for the legs. And then we'll pull it back down and tack the legs on, stick it back up there. Use the floor jack on the trailer, going off the transom or the engine bracket, just to get the boat nice and level. Roughly kind of guesstimate the ride height of you know, where it sits on the water. But a lot of the times the top I'll just measure 4 corners to the floor and square it up off that, maybe give it a 1/2 inch lean back. Other than that, that's about it. So we got 2 of our legs bent up. This is what I find is the easiest way to center your legs on your pads. Just figure out whatever your even spacing is, center. And like, I use a lot of 2-inch OD. This is schedule 80 pipe. Most guys use schedule 40, real thin wall stuff. This stuff's real heavy. I mean, it's thick. All the rest of the top is schedule 40 thinner stuff. But as far as the uprights, the ones that are known for breaking off the pads and everything, I use heavy stuff. I just milled a couple blocks that are half my distance, so I can center all the pads. Makes it really fast. Get them tacked up, ready to go. Got a slight bend, a 15-degree bend. I already put my 15-degree cut on there before I bent it. And these will land on the T-top. I'm gonna get the legs kind of situated to the console, make whatever type of braces I want for them, and then I'll kind of shimmy the top over and get it set on those, and then support the back with some stands I have, and then go from there. Got the top up on the boat. Got set up on a couple stands. Got 2 of our legs set up in there. Gonna use a laser level to find center of everything. We'll choose a point on the boat that is almost consistent, like leaning post, center console, steering wheel, whatever. Front cleat. It's really hard to find something center all the way down a boat. None of them are perfect. Kind of what we're looking like right now. Let's fit up top. We're going to go ahead and get one side, so 2 posts tacked in up at the top evenly. We got our space set with some 2x4s and just a strap holding our front supports. Then we'll get the other side done, center it up, square it up, start throwing some cross bracing in it, and then some bracing to the back. Go ahead and start drilling holes where wires are going to go, and adding supports and handles, and then fully welding this thing up. Got all 4 legs up there and tacked in. Now we're working on making the cross support between the 2 legs. Trying to come up with a way to go up, and there's some bolt holes up there. We want to utilize 2 of them and try and cover 1. So came up with this right here. Simple little S-bend, be notched and notched, and we'll do it twice. Then we'll notch those and get them in there. Got 2 of them exactly the same. Good idea. Go ahead and get those notched and get them thrown up there. We got our feet that will go from our cross supports where our S-bend is to the console welded up. Got these notched and fit in there. Just like the magic of television. It's perfect for a stride. And then same thing on the other side. I'll get those tacked in, both sides, get the support between there and the console put in, tacked in and screwed to the console, and then I can go ahead and get the forklift and the stands out of the way, because then I'll feel confident enough of those pieces being tacked in there holding this in. And we'll tie it back into the console in the front where all our wire runs will be. Get some tabs made for our electronics box to go on the top, and then get our cross supports back here, our little arches, and then some handles going down along there. Got all our handles and back supports put in. The camera died, so I missed a lot of that footage. Got our console supports, brackets put in. Now we're just adding some tubes up there for our electronics box, and then that will be tied back to these front legs and then to the console for the wire runs to pull the wire up. Other than that, it's almost a wrap. We don't have to pull it back off and fully weld a couple sections that we can't get to while it's on the boat, and then it will go off to sandblast and then powder coat. Electronics box is up in its spot to measure for brackets, what we need to make. It's not easy to put one of these up by yourself. You know, you only got 2 hands. It really takes like 4 to get it up there and hold it or clamp it. But it's in there. We'll measure for it. Make some brackets. They'll come off of here. And then our front tubes, they're gonna tie in the top somehow, some way. Those will also be our wire runs to our electronics box. A lot of guys run them up these. We really couldn't for this boat because the stringer's like right in there, right where these are going to get bolted to, and you have to drill a big access hole through it to run wires up the leg, and it's just going to be a hassle. So it's easy to come through the console. So that's what's next. Alright, so I got these front 2 pipes bent up. These are always usually the hardest pipes on a T-top. Everything else is in the same plane. These ones usually change plane because we're going up back 10 degrees, but you got a 90 that goes over, or 45 that goes over, and a 90 that goes back. So for it to land on something that's 90 to the boat, but come off a tube that's not 90, you gotta change planes. So that makes notching them, cutting them, bending them a little bit difficult. This is the one that fits perfect for this side. This would be, that 45 down there is also tilted back 10 degrees, and then that lands flush into the box after that 90. This is the other side that's bent up before I cut it. I'll mark it where I need to cut it, and then I'll show you how I do this 45 at 10 degrees. It's not really the most efficient way to do it. It's the only way I have to do it. Is I'll use a angle gauge. I'll find 10 degrees, find the plane I need to be on, kind of use this block as a steady rest. I'll mark 45 and I'll just hold it right at that 10 degree mark and cut at 45. It works perfect for me every time, but it is a good bit harder if you don't have, you know, like a compound miter saw or something like that. But I'll show you what they look like once they get in there. And here's the two mess ups. Kind of figuring out one, I cut a little too short and I try to stick a piece of pipe in there to bend it through to save it, but it just snapped. It didn't work. Alright, here's after making that 45 degree cut at 10 degrees. You can kind of see it. I mean, can't really get, it's hard to do this with trying to film it, but for 45, we're at 0. And that puts us right at 10 degrees. The camera's picking that up, but yeah, we're right at 10 degrees, and you can see it's pretty square all the way around. We're gonna have no gap to fill, so it'll be perfect. Didn't get much filming done today. It's Saturday and I'm trying to get this thing knocked out so it can be out of the shop Monday and off the powder coat. And that's what we're looking like. Got the front all welded up. The crossbar up there, tying the two halves together. Looks nice and sturdy. Only thing we'll do Monday is go ahead and pull the top off and then square up our feet, completely weld those up. And then weld up a couple spots, like on the back side, like when we pull the electronics box, back side of this. I actually got to weld that one all the way around. Just a couple spots we couldn't get to, a couple welds on the bottom side that they're easier to do, just flipping it over than trying to do it overhead on the boat. But that's the top. I like the way it turned out. I think it looks pretty good. It looked a little funky at first because of how wide the console is and how wide we actually had to make the top itself. But got the nice grab handles on the sides, 8 rod holders across the back. Got some tabs like where the ground is right now for spreader light. There's actually the 2 spreader lights and an anchor light. There's another spreader light tab in the front. Electronics box, big one. I think it's 30 inches wide. And then we got that big radar mount up top too. For, I don't know if they're gonna fit like a whirly do on this thing or just a regular radar. They just told me they wanted a big mount. That's it. Didn't get any videos of it, but got the top pulled off so we can go ahead and build up the spots that touch the fiberglass, like all the pads, These points that touch the center console. Everything else I welded up before I actually put the tube in. You gotta flip it over and got a couple spots to weld on the bottom side. Once it's flipped, it's a lot easier instead of doing it overhead. But it's pretty much a wrap for this top. About another hour or so, and then they'll be ready to throw on the trailer and kick sandblast and then powder coat. Got the top on the Dusky all finished up. Canvas is on it. Electronics box is in it. It's all bolted down. It's the finished product right there. Thing came out pretty sweet. I think the only thing they got left is they're gonna get their, spreader lights on the tabs and finish wiring it. See, they got their anchor light up there, but looks pretty sweet. On to the next one now.